This is my recovery session post-bike. I'm stretching the areas that feel tight. I have neglected my upper back this morning, but that's okay. We're going to get to it now. We're going to start this session with a roll down. Now, I think in general Pilates classes, this is neglected. People kind of fly through it, but this exercise is so good for just feeling out your back, feeling what feels good. You're going to start standing tall and on the exhalation, rolling down through the length of the spine like a bike chain. So one link at a time. And when you're at the bottom, just let your arms hang, let your head hang. Keep your knees soft, so a soft bend at the knees. And I'm rotating from left to right here just to feel out my back. What feels good? What feels tight? What feels like it needs more work? And I'm cycling through the legs. All of the bike references are completely unintended, but that's where my head is at today. So bending one knee, straightening the other. And letting the weight of the arms and the head stretch the upper spine. Take a breath in, and as we exhale, roll up through the spine one vertebra at a time. So keeping that belly button pulled gently towards the spine. At the top, we're going to do a bit of a back bend. So I'm supporting my lower back. And I'm lifting my chin, arching through my back, feeling the stretch through the front of my body. Now, this is important for me today because I was on the bike for an hour and a half. And my hip flexors, those muscles on the insides of my pelvis that reach through the front from the front of my pelvis through to my lower back, they feel very tight. They were in a crouched position on the bike. I haven't been on the bike in a while, so I'm stretching everything through the front of the body. Let's go back to a forward bend, breathing in, and on the exhalation, rolling back down. Stop at any point in this roll down if you feel tension or if you feel you're particularly tight at any given location. You can pause there and give a little bit of rotation, just like I did, and continue to roll down. Let the weight of the head pull you down towards the floor, folding in half, soft bend at the knees. Come up for a moment, and you can come back down or you can roll all the way up. Roll up on the exhalation, pulling the belly button back towards the spine, using your core strength to roll you up. Little back bend at the top, stretching the palms forward, feeling a stretch across the front of the chest. Now this time we're going to work into glute medius. So this is the muscle at the side of the bum. We're bending the knee closest to the door or the wall and we're pressing it into the wall. So your shoulder, your hip and your knee should be in contact with the wall, and the leg farthest away from the wall is supporting you. Now, I have a soft bend in that knee because it's actually my glute med on this side that is a little bit injured or weak at the moment. So I'm bending the knee a little bit to support me, a small bit here. So I'm holding that for 20 seconds and then I'm swapping sides. If you're wobbling all over the place or you have any pain, only hold this until the point that is comfortable for you. Count how many seconds you can hold it for and make that your starting point. We've swapped sides, so the opposite side against the door. See how this leg is a little bit straighter. This side is a little bit stronger. This is the side I've done all my surgery on, so of course I've rehabbed this side really, really well. And that's why the other side is suffering. So back to the first side. Okay, I'm trialing a straighter knee here, so I'm working a little bit harder now. And I end up holding it for only 15 seconds because I'm working harder in this rep. Again, making sure that our belly button is gently pulled back towards the spine, engaging our core. I want you to think strong here. Think about your posture. Think about breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Gentle pressure in your knee in towards the door. And think of that leg on the floor as your stabilizer. Strong, 5 toes pressed into the ground. Okay, we're going to do some side bends here. So letting the arm hang towards the floor, reaching up And all I want you to do here is feel the stretch. Exhaling back to center, opposite side. Let the hands weigh you towards the floor. Breathe in, reaching that top arm up and over. And we're exhaling. After the inhale, exhaling back to standing. Now this time we're reaching the arm up first. So breathe in. Now exhale over. Pause there, take a breath in. Feel that expansion through the side ribs. And exhaling back to center, using the core to pull you back. Breathing in to reach up. Exhaling to the side. Inhale in position, feeling the expansion into the side ribs. Exhaling back to standing. Let's step forward into a lunge position. Now here, you want to make sure that your feet aren't in line. So you're not going to be standing in a straight line and falling over. You've got a nice wide base. I'm keeping my back heel on the ground here and I'm rotating from left to right. So I'm stretching through my calf muscle at the back. Lifting the heel off the floor, I'm onto the ball of my foot and I'm slowly bending down towards 90 degrees in the front leg, bending that back knee. And again, I'm just feeling through the positions here. I'm not looking to do a normal lunge here. I'm just feeling through the motions. Hands on the ground with the back leg up, getting a rotation in. Again, I'm just being curious here about where does this feel tight? Where does it feel good? Ordinarily, we'd swap and bring that left arm up towards the sky, but I'm going easy on myself today because the hip flexors are very tight. Back knee down on the ground. See, does it feel a little bit different? I'm just asking myself, what do I need today? How do I feel supported in my body? I'm going to swap sides here. So ordinarily, I would just turn and do it in the opposite direction, but no one needs to be looking down the screen at my two butt cheeks. So I'm swapping legs and facing the camera. So again, my back heel is on the ground, keeping my hips square. I'm rotating from left to right, feeling that stretch through the calf muscle. And then offering a little bit of a bend in the back knee and the front knee. Just feeling what feels strong, what feels tight, what feels easy, what feels uncomfortable. Where do I need to work on? And just exploring how my body feels today. Bring one hand to the ground. So again, a nice deep stretch would be the direction I was just about to go in, but I'm not doing that today. A little bit concerned about muscles cramping, but you're more than welcome to try that opposite side stretch if you want. So same arm, same leg, and rotating outwards towards that back leg. So here I'm rocking forward a little, hands on the ground to support me. And then scooching back, sitting my bum back towards my heel, rocking forward again, stretching the hip flexor in the back leg, scooching back towards my heel, stretching the hamstring in the front leg. Hamstrings are the muscles at the top, back of your thigh. Let's step that back leg forward and swap sides. Back knee on the ground, stretching the back of the thigh and the front leg, and then rolling forward through the front of the thigh and the front of the hip in the back leg. And just rocking back and forward there, nice and controlled. A little bit of a lateral stretch there. Again, explore this space, see what feels good. And we're coming to a sitting position. So we're going to lean back here. Now, you can do this exercise sitting completely upright if you wish. My quads or the muscles at the fronts of my thighs cramp when I do that. So I'm leaning back to make it a little bit easier. Toes pointed towards the ceiling, and we're doing some heel taps. Now, what you want to be careful of here is that you don't allow the leg to flop. You do these rainbow shapes or semicircles, heel tap, up and around, heel tap. Do them in a controlled manner. Keep your belly button pulled back towards your spine so that you're not slouching in your lower back. Your core is strong. You're engaging through the center line, and you're controlling the movements of your legs. Now this time we're turning the toe out and working on the inside of the thigh. I found this difficult. So I'm dealing with a left-sided hip injury. So I found this exercise quite difficult and strenuous, but you may find it really easy. Again, tapping slow and controlled. You might notice that this movement is a little bit more jerky and less smooth on that side. Swap legs, toes turned out. Just changing my position a little bit so I have space. Keep both your knees nice and straight. So the movement is coming from the hip and not from the knee. Heel tap out, heel tap in. Okay, so this time turning the toe in. So we want to get the whole hip working. And you might find you cramp a little here in this position. If so, you can lie down to make it easier. If this is far too easy, you can sit up straight, put your palms of your hands behind you to support you, and that will make this exercise a little bit more difficult. Toe turned in, opposite leg. You can lift higher if you wish and really scoop that leg through your range of motion, but do what feels good to you. I felt as this was my first day back, I was taking things nice and easy. Pointing the toes. Okay, so we're going to lie down now and we're going to do a straight leg. So first, pulling those knees back towards the chest. See what those hips feel like. Is there any pinching? Pull one knee in, straighten the other leg away. Okay, keeping one knee bent. Oh, actually, yeah, we're doing a rotation first. So both shoulders on the floor and rotating knees from side to side. Again, this is just a really nice way of just relaxing everything out, allowing it all to just ease out. Stretch arms in the opposite direction if you like. So now keeping the knees in one direction and allowing the upper body to flop in the opposite direction. I really, really enjoy this. I don't feel like I get a huge amount from it because I'm quite flexible in this position, but it just feels like a nice gentle release. And there's a really nice somatic movement you can do with this particular position, but we might come to that another day. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into a glute stretch, I believe. Okay, so both feet facing to the front, and then you're going to let both of your knees fall to one side, and then you're going to put one leg in front of the other. So the back of one knee is going to be in contact with the sole of your foot. Now, if you pointed both your knees to the left, you're going to turn towards the leftmost knee. Rotate your upper body so that the center of your chest is aligned with that knee. And I want you to sit up nice and tall. Imagine you're stretching through the spine and you're reaching the top of your chest beyond that left knee. And I want you to just feel the rotation there, scooping down towards the ground in small circles. You should feel this in your bum muscles. So this is a really, really stunning glute stretch, but it stretches all through the glute complex. The more movement you create in this position, the better it is. And it really feels like you're scooping out a pot of honey, trying to clear the honey from the edges of a mixing bowl. I want you to think of that mobility through the muscle fibers of the hip. And slowly scooping up again. So let's come back to 2 feet facing forward. You can sit there as long as you like, by the way. So knees to the opposite side. And again, if your knees are going to the right now, you're going to rotate your upper body so that the center of your chest is aligned with that right knee. Strengthening and lengthening through the spine, creating as much distance from the top of your head to your hip as possible. And through that lengthened spine, scooping down, using your arms to support you, gently rolling down towards the floor. And the ideal scenario here is that you get your head to the floor, you can relax here for a moment. If this is an enormous stretch for you, put your head on a pillow. Make sure you have your pillows by your side to start. This felt like a really, really big stretch. I used to be able to get my face lying on the side of my face on the floor here. So this is an area I've identified I really need to do more work in. So again, back to activation of our glutes. So on all fours, hands under our shoulders, knees directly under our hips, stretching one leg back and squeezing through the glutes. Now, here, we don't want to lift the heel as high as possible. We want to lift it just to hip height and ensure those bum muscles are working. Oftentimes when we're lifting the heel higher than the hip, it's because we're arching through the lower back and we want to avoid that. So keeping the back steady, belly button pulled up through the spine and squeezing the heel just to hip height. And let's swap legs. Keeping the belly button pulled up towards the spine. And moving backwards with that right leg now. Tucking the knee under and then stretching it backwards. Full extension, heel towards the ceiling. Feel those bum muscles working. Okay. So coming into a kneeling position. So this is, I think, what's referred to as saddle pose in yoga. So we're sitting back on our heels and doing a bit of a back bend here. Now, I found this particularly difficult. My quads, or the muscles at the fronts of my legs, were really, really tight. Now, again, when you've done a big workout, it's not really beneficial to go into a huge stretch because you've been working the muscles, they're infused with blood, you've got a chemical and a physiological process occurring whereby you're pumping more to the muscles that you've been working. So doing an enormously deep stretch here would not be beneficial. So what I'm doing here is I'm coming into a comfortable mobility position. So I'm not going for a deep stretch. I'm coming to a position that's challenging my mobility a little bit. It feels quite comfortable, but I'm not going into a deep, horrible stretch position. I'm not looking for that. And coming out of that. Now, again, a little bit of work on the glutes and the hamstrings because I want to make sure that everything is fired up for use on the bike the next day. Now, I find this really useful. If you're tight in the fronts of your quads or your hip flexors, putting your heel up on a surface like a couch is really useful for working the glutes or the bum muscles and the backs of the hamstrings. So heel up, and we're aiming for 15 of these. We're doing one leg at a time. Now again, if you haven't been doing an exercise on the glutes and the bum, you might find this really difficult. You may only be able to do 8 of them before your hamstrings start cramping. If that's the case, then that's okay. 8 is your starting point. I've done 15 here. Swap legs. Now again, when we do this, we want to make sure that we're not arching through the lower back. We're keeping a neutral spine, and the focus of movement is on our bum muscles and through the hip. Pressing down into the heel, focusing on utilizing the leg muscles and not stretching the back muscles. And this is quite a strong exercise. So you can do this round 2 to 3 times if you like. If you want to pause the video, come back and do it 2 more times. For the ease of doing this video, I'll come back and do it later. So we're going to do some hip circles here. Now I've gone straight to the harder position. So straight leg, one knee bent, small circles, 5 in one direction, and then 5 in the opposite direction. The focus here is on keeping 2 sides of the pelvis in contact with the ground. Don't allow the pelvis to rock. Changing position or changing direction again, we're going to go for a larger set of 5 circles. And changing direction again. Again, a larger set of circles, 5 in the opposite direction. What we're looking for here is smoothness in the movement. Control. Okay, let's swap legs. Opposite leg goes straight up to the sky, or if that was too difficult and your hips were rocking all over the place, you can do what I've done here and use a bent knee. Imagine you've got a pencil coming out the top of your knee and you're drawing with that on the ceiling. So my hamstring on this side isn't quite as flexible. So my knee is a little bent, but that's okay. So you can see control on this side for me is a little bit shakier. And again, that's down to my glute injury. So this is all rehabilitating that. So changing direction, slightly larger circle, trying to move from the hip and not the knee. And changing direction again, 5 in the opposite direction. Feet together, lifting the hips off the ground. Now again, I was doing this more from a adductor mobility and strength perspective, more than trying to build glutes. So these are the muscles inside my thighs are quite tight after cycling today. So I just felt like this was a feel-good movement. Pressing hips towards the sky, knees apart, soles of the feet together. Feeling that stretch and elongation. Feet flat on the floor and coming into shoulder bridge position. Arms above the head, take a breath in, and as you exhale, slowly allow the spine to lower to the floor. Breathe in at the bottom and exhale to lift the spine one vertebra at a time off the floor again. Breathing in at the top. Bring the arms down by the sides and exhale the spine back down onto the floor. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed today's session.